Here we go. We are back. We are ready.
Back.
Grace is back.
I'm back.
Grace is back. Let's go.
I've been
Grace.
really missing you. I'm
We
really
missed
excited
her.
to be here.
Hey,
Because it has been a long time since we've all been together.
No, I do feel like it has been a
Pre-recording and
really
stuff,
long
so
time.
we're back.
can I say something really important? Last episode was just us. I did your part.
I didn't hear it yet. What you said? You said, welcome to This is Kingdom.
Yeah, are you jealous?
Yeah,
You did
I
pretty
always
good.
get jealous when you guys record without me. It's happened a couple
Well,
times now.
Tell us your highlight of London. What you got?
I went to London. A couple things. Well, first of all, you need to know that when I was just a girl, William and Kate got married like a long time ago. They're the royal. It's like a royal prince
I'm
and
glad
his
you
wife.
explained that because I was like, I feel like I should know who they are. But I
Yeah, no,
don't,
it's like
so.
it was like the royal prince. Like I was in 5th grade, and it happened in the middle of the night because London's on a different time zone than Utah, obviously. And my mom let us stay up all night and watch the royal wedding, and we had a big party, and we like all
Wow.
wore fancy nightgowns, and it was really special. And ever since then, I've been obsessed with the royal family,
Did you meet them?
especially William and Kate. And I need you to know that the biggest disappointment of my life, maybe like top 3, is that I just barely did learn that they are not currently living in Buckingham Palace.
Oh.
And I learned that while I was at the gate of Buckingham Palace.
Oh.
That's so
And
sad.
I
I
tried
feel
not
disappointment
to.
with you because you were
Yeah.
building this up. I'm like, this is gonna be legendary, and then it was sad.
And that's exactly how I felt. And that's exactly how I felt. It was really a hard day. Like I'm still like, getting sick to my stomach
Yeah.
about that. But what wasn't a letdown? Big Ben.
Oh.
Big Ben's amazing.
Better than I could have ever dreamt
Yeah.
of. So
I mean, I wouldn't
I would
have
agree
had
with
high
that.
expectations. It's just a
yeah.
clock. you
No,
know?
no, you don't
It's
get
more
it.
than a clock.
you don't get you don't
More
get
than
it.
a clock.
It's really special. Welcome to This is Kingdom. This is Grace.
This is Town.
This is TJ.
This is Hollis.
And this week, y'all, kind of a different episode. We're going to talk a little bit about President Oak's intro that he made. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the changes in the church with new prophet, new presidency. We're just going to chat about a lot of good things, y'all. TJ,
Mhm.
start us off.
Yeah. So yeah, this is crazy. So President Oaks, he takes the mic right in the beginning. He gives a little intro talk and he gives kind of like this big, amazing tribute to President Nelson.
Oh,
And
this is at
it's-
conference.
Yeah.
'Kay.
Yeah, and it's super tender.
I was trying to realize if it was like today when he got called as the
Oh,
prophet
yeah.
or at conference.
He
Thank
shouted
you.
him out again too. It's just so cool, and as they talk about each other and as they talk about President Nelson. But he gives this really cool tribute, and I just want to read it. He says, "I loved Russell M. Nelson and have learned more about the gospel and gospel leadership from my long friendship and association with him than from any other leader I have personally known." Which that's a big statement. He is our model as a servant and follower of the Lord Jesus Christ. And so this is so powerful. I loved hearing President Oaks say this. And I thought it'd be cool for us to, I don't know how much we want to, but I wanted to share a little bit about like, what would my phrase be? Like, I've learned more about blank than from anyone else. And our first year of doing this whole thing, we did a lot of speaking. You guys remember? Like 5
Like
times a day.
Yeah, like,
Like five
at
times.
least twice a week, and that's not even a joke. Like it was like all the time.
Oh my gosh. And we had this little
And honestly, some of my favorite memories.
Yeah,
For what
so
it's worth.
good.
Our
I
road
met some of our
trips.
favorite
if you're
people.
an OG like that, man, we love you. Thanks for being with us still. But I would always have this little part in our message that we'd prepared about being solid. And that's what I want to say is I've learned so much from President Nelson about being solid with Christ, whether it's him talking about spiritual momentum or being a peacemaker or getting to the temple. All of these things that President Nelson has given us and given me has helped me be solid with Jesus, to make me be more of a solid man, a solid disciple, and just a solid person. And so I will continue to commit, and I have committed to be solid with Jesus because of the impact of President Nelson's life on mine. For sure. He helps me just want to be solid, man.
We didn't know.
you
We didn't know TJ could get more solid, but he has.
He has gotten more
But he
solid.
has.
Solid.
Spiritually and physically.
Well, and it's interesting that you brought that line up because that was actually I like wrote that down in my notes immediately when. Do we call him president? Oh, yeah, he's president. He was even president then. When President Oaks began talking that Saturday morning. And the reason I wrote it down is because for some reason, I just feel like when President Nelson talked, like it was abundantly clear that he knew Jesus. Like there was no doubt in my mind that I was like, oh, he really knows who he is. Like he's had really clear and distinct experiences with him. And when you just ask that question, what a tender question to think of, like, what has he taught you more than anyone else has? And I think that President Nelson, for me, like, taught me, I knew this always, but it was just something different with him, is that he taught me that the second coming is real and it's on its way. Like, I just, like, every time he spoke about it, I felt like the second coming was tomorrow. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, it's happening right now. And what I think is cool is that I think President Nelson knew Jesus in such a way that there was not a doubt in his mind that every prophecy made about him would come to pass. And that included the second coming. And I think that's why he spoke so powerfully about the second coming, is because he knew Jesus so well. And I think that he changed the way that I see the second coming and the way that I like hope for the second
I was
coming.
gonna say, he talked about it in a way that got you so excited about it.
Yes.
And I think so much we hear how there's so much bad going on in the world, and there is, but he would talk about it, about how there's such big miracles ahead and so much to hope for. You know what I mean?
100%.
Oh, I love that.
He was just a master bringing excitement to everything. I remember when President Oaks began the conference, and he's like, we ended the conference when he talked about how much excitement he brought to temples. He's like, President Nelson loved doing that, announcing temples at the end. And that's what he did for me, is bringing that excitement to temples, because I feel like that excitement he brought was contagious. And even President Oaks felt it, and all of us as members felt that as well. And that really is something that I'll always remember him for.
It was a really hard thing when you asked us of what's the one thing that you've learned from it. It was really hard for me to answer because there are so many quotes and one-liners. There's actually a 6-paragraph quote from President Nelson that I memorized because I love it. It's so powerful to me. I want those words in my mind. But as I thought about it, I went back to his first talk, Revelation for the Church, Revelation for Our Lives. And he just taught so clearly in that. He said this line, does God really want to speak to you? Yes. And I feel like he taught me and he taught us again and again how to hear God. And not only did he teach us how to do it, I feel like he was such a powerful living example of that. And I think that's why his talks hit so hard, because he knew how to hear what God wanted him to say. And I will forever be grateful for that message that he taught me by word and he taught me by example, that God is dying to talk to me. God is dying to talk to you. And that if we'll put the work in, if we'll put in the spiritual work to hear him, God is going to transform our lives if we let him guide us.
Yeah, I think it's special just where that's his first talk, Revelation for the Church and Revelation for Our Lives, that it actually happened today. I mean, not when you guys hear it, but here today as we're recording, we are seeing in real time restoration and revelation for the church happening, as President Oaks was called as the new prophet, and as he called President D. Todd Christofferson as one of his counselors, and President Henry Byring as the other. Is Henry Byring first? Yeah, for sure. And I watched fireworks with President D. Todd Christofferson, so that strengthened my testimony right there. I saw the fireworks, and I'm like, "There's me fireworks in the gospel and in the Lord and in the
Honestly, I was feeling fireworks when they dropped that announcement. We're announcing the first presidency today. I got fireworks in my
Why
mouth.
was
Why was I so excited?
Like, why was I
It's like a big group.
And all my kids came into class. I was teaching. Yeah, and I was like, we have to watch. Yes.
Yeah.
So like all the kids came in and I was like, hurry, we have to watch. And all of them were like, yeah, let's watch. Like, I was like,
No, it was so cool how that all came to be. And I was on Instagram, and when the church posted about it, how all three of them got announced today. And there was this comment that I read that I really loved, that I actually wanted to share, that I thought was a really interesting thing. And it talks about a pattern. In this comment, this guy says, or he notices this pattern, says, President Hinckley was a master communicator and was chosen when the church needed a voice. President Monson, a distinguished veteran, was chosen in a time of war and terror. President Nelson, a world-renowned surgeon, was chosen during the period of COVID. And now we have President Oaks, a former Supreme Court justice during a time of political division and moral debates. And I loved that comment. I loved that thought and insight, that no matter what you think or believe, you can tell that God is behind this church. God is going to have someone he has called and foreordained to lead this church, and we know he won't lead us astray. And I think that was such a powerful insight, because we know we can trust who God chooses as his prophet. And it brings me a lot of safety and comfort to know that President Oaks is at the helm of our church now.
This is what I want to say about this. I want to be so clear with where I stand on prophets, because I feel like sometimes I'm hesitant to talk about prophets, honestly, because we get hate for that. Like, we get hate for having a prophet and believing in a prophet. And I've actually been thinking about this a lot recently. And we have a song that says, "We thank thee, O God, for a prophet." That describes so perfectly how I feel. I feel so grateful to have prophets. And I think of living in Moses's time of, man, what a blessing it would have been to have Moses, a man that led them the way that God wanted them to go. What a blessing it would have been to have Moses hold up the brass serpent and say, "Look, this is how you look to Jesus. This is how you get healed." He pointed them to God. He pointed them to Jesus. I'm like, man, that is something to be grateful for. And when I think about our church, and that it's our belief that we have that today, that just makes me want to celebrate. Like, that is something that makes me so grateful for God, that he would give us a representative, a spokesman, someone that will point us to him, someone that will point us to his son. And when I look at what the prophets have done in my life, that's 100% what they've done. They have helped me develop a stronger relationship with God and with Christ. And because of that, I'm so grateful for them.
And I think it's powerful that they can do it in unique ways. That, like, it's interesting for me to like look
So
back
true.
and be like, oh, each one is divinely called and each one will guide us individually in our lives. And I think that's really important to realize. And it was interesting because when I saw that on, like, I don't even remember how I saw it, whatever. I think someone texted it in my family group chat that was like, announcement today at 1 p.m. or whatever. And I immediately remembered out of nowhere when President Nelson had that, like, it was the same thing for President Nelson. And it was like, oh, at this certain time, and there was like a little press conference or whatever. And I like had this distinct memory of a few things he said in that conference. And I remember thinking, like, today, like, I just had this like train of thought that was like, oh, that press conference actually really like dictated so many themes of his presidency. And there's so many things he talked about and discussed and brought up that were so relevant for the years and years that he was the prophet, that I was like, oh, wow, like, that really set the standard. Like, he showed who he was going to be as the prophet. And it made me so excited to watch President Oaks and this little like press conference. I don't even know if it's called a press conference, but whatever, you get it. And I like was on the edge of my seat because I was like, oh, I think this is going to give us a glimpse into what it will be like as he's the prophet. And the part that I like cannot get out of my head that I am obsessed with that he said today he said it multiple times, is he said, there's a lot of work to do. And he said it over and over and over. He's
I
like,
didn't even notice that. That's so sick.
yes, there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done. And every single time he said it, it didn't fill me with dread. It filled me with excitement. Like, I was like, oh, this is a big deal. And there's stuff that we need to do. And it reminded me of On My Mission. I had a mission president that was like a big work hard mission president. And he would like ingrain that in us. And after every single meeting, he would never let us like stay and like talk to other missionaries or like like do whatever we wanted. Like, he would get to the pulpit right after the prayer ended and he'd say, missionaries, there's work to be done. Like, I expect you to go. And everyone would leave. Like, no one would sit there. Like, no one would go to the bathroom after the meeting. Like, everyone went straight to their cars and like got to work. And I remember every single time after leaving zone conferences or district council or whatever, like, I would get in the car and like I didn't care about talking to other missionaries or like catching up with things or like sitting in like getting everything ready to go. Like, I remember every single time he like the way he like told us to go to work like filled me with this like anticipation of like miracles that were gonna happen, but also like this level of like trust that he had in me. That like he was like, no, like, there's a work that you need to do. So like, why are you wasting your time sitting down? And when President Oaks like got up and like said that today, like, he's like, there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done. Like, it filled me with the same feelings. That I was like, oh, we can anticipate that like the world is hastening. Like, the work is hastening in the world right now. But also like the Lord trusts us and he needs us to step up and stand up and start doing something. And I think President Oaks is going to get us there.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
God is so good. He is leading this church. He is leading his prophet, and he is leading you, y'all.
I belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Come on.
I know who I am. I know God's plan.
Yeah.
I'll follow him in faith. I believe and the Savior Jesus Christ.
I do.
I'll honor his name.
Yes, I will.
I'll do what is right. I'll follow his light.
His truth I will proclaim. I realized I didn't know all the words to be
No, but that's a great song. We need to sing that
That's a
more.
banger.
We
That's
need
a
to sing that more. And we'll see you next week. And we love you.